The dreams are to one, to travel the world, to know what's happening where, to understand cultures that are there in various continents of the world. So we have something called the world map in our house, and if you go to a country, you can scratch that particular country.
Right.
And we would want to, at the age of 60 or whenever, we want to look at that map and say that map is all clear, it's scratched all over, and it's a full colorful map. That's the kind of experiences that we want to take with us. So that's one of the millennial dream for us, I feel. And the other thing being, being able to do what I want. So all in our previous generations or everywhere, people are doing a lot of things for compulsion.
And for the coming generations, I think for our kind of like millennials, what is important is doing something for ourselves, giving time to yourself. Our parents, I think now at 50 or 60, now they have time to themselves, versus what we constantly keep conversing about or thinking about is how do we get time to ourselves right now.
The idea is to be conscious that life is moving on. We are aging every day, every minute. So, to get the most out of life and experience for ourselves first, and then probably think about what we are going to leave behind as a legacy wealth or a legacy family or those things. So I think those things have taken a backseat. Also, talking about compulsions of their generation, I feel the view of the society has also changed. For them, for my parents, it was very important to, have a stable job. If you're in a government job, you get a lot of respect. It may not be the case today. Whereas the circle that we belong to now, if we have traveled, say, most part of the globe, that will give us respect. So the awareness has increased, our aspirations have changed, and fortunately, the societal landscape has also changed. So the compulsions have changed. I may feel that today, even if somebody doesn't like going out, there's a compulsion to go out, to belong to the society, to fit in. I mean, if I want to say it in one word, exposure is equals to respect these days. So if you're exposed to the best eating places, if you're exposed to best going out places or the best places in the world or the best cultures, and you have knowledge, the real knowledge, that is respect these days, rather than your old ways of, parametering respect.
I think freedom has a lot of impact on our spending because I earn today the way my mother would spend when she was not earning versus when I am earning, and the way I can spend, I can see a lot of difference in that. I think 10 years back when I had 2000, if I'm going to the market, I can only spend that 2000 when I'm going to the market. Versus today, if I have 500 in my wallet, but if I have a credit card or a debit card in my wallet, I can go and buy something for 15, 20, 50,000. Say something like plastic money has made money more available to everyone.
You don't feel the pinch of spending the money. So if I am on a food ordering app and it's connected to a wallet, and I just at the click of the button wallet gets deducted and I get the service. So I think if you pay a proper currency note to somebody, I think that hurts a lot more via spending a credit card, because I know I have to pay after 50 days. And I generally positive attitude is that I'll have much more money after 50 days than I have right now. So that way there are a lot more freedom in terms of choices how you spend money or interact with money.
I think for investing, obviously we do a small part of our earnings into fixed investments, which is like the requirement for tax savers, etc. And I like more liquid investments so that I can take out money when I want to and use it the way I want to, right? So I put my money in mutual funds which are liquid but which have access where I can withdraw at the time I want to. Also, I focus more on equity investments than others because the growth in equity investments is much more as compared to the other debt funds, etc. So that is kind of the investment that I look forward to. I think over the years we have just started our life, so I think over the years the kind of investment we do should always increase. But right now it's a very small proportion of what we are earning.
I think there are two parts of my investing clearly. One is the logged and the long-term investing, which is a very small part of my income, because as I said, I want to live in now and experience it now, but still I set aside some money. But other than that also I set aside some money for, I would call it retirement, because I think it's very important to have money during those 20, 30 years with you, for you. and save for that, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's very important to lock in my money in a ELSS. So even when my tax saving instrument is full to the limit, I put more money in tax saving because it's locked for 3 years. So I don't get access to it, because I know in a emotion or in a knee-jerk reaction, I will take all money and I will put it where I see only one side of the coin, that it's going up,
Right.
and might end up losing.
I think a house for me right now is investment. Secondly, I don't want to block my money in a way that I don't have enough to spend on other things. So I don't want to make that commitment of buying a house right now, so that it stops me from doing the other things that I want to experience right now.
So house doesn't have a lot of emotional value for me. It's it's got a functional value. Owning a house is not a status symbol to me, but living in a good house is a status symbol to me. So the chances are that if I ever in the next 2, 3, 5 years I buy a house, it will again be an investment purpose, because I can't afford maybe for the next 3 to 5 years the house that I want to live in. So I will still pay a decent rent for a decent house, which comes with all amenities, which looks good. That is house to me, and not really house that I own. So a small ticket loan, for example, a car loan, or like a smaller loan which maybe is around 10% of my salary or a 15% of my salary, is fine. And that kind of enable me to have experience, or enable me to have that experience without compromising my day-to-day life. But when it comes to home loan, it's a 20, 30 year kind of a loan, which I'm not ready to make that commitment to, because as I said, that if I have a home loan, I'll definitely not be able to quit my job when I want to, or want to take that 6 month sabbatical. So I think home loan or a big ticket size loan, it kind of ties you down. It takes away from your freedom that we spoke about. So that's a no-no at this stage of life. But eventually, we'll have to see. So my dad has always been very averse to loans. One, their aversion was to pay extra. So to take 50,000 and pay 58,000, that 8,000 used to pinch them a lot. Or at least my dad like, I don't want to pay any interest money. I earn real money, I want to spend real money. So that's the attitude shift. They would not go for a loan irrespective. Even if you tell them that it is zero EMI, it is convenient, it is all that, loan is a very negative word. Also, I think between previous generation and our generation, loan for them was a burden. And I think for us, loan is an enabler.
Yeah, it's a facility.
So that's the shift that has happened, if you ask me in one line, between them and us. I think there's nothing, a loan is a complete no-no, but some of the things, yes, that are, if it is for people or society or for others or a show off, then I think a loan for me would be a no-no. And I think if I'm taking a loan, it should upgrade me or enhance me as a person in some way or the other. Then I think loan for me can be taken. But otherwise, if it's just a show-off thing or a very momentary pleasure, I would rather save and do those things rather than do those things on loan. So I think in insurance, I'm very clear that health insurance is very important. See, in the modern lifestyle, a hectic, stressful lifestyle, we are doing road traveling all the time, living in big cities, there is a decent chance of something going wrong in our health, or an accident, or anything can happen. And suddenly, and these days the hospital bills are shooting up like anything. You just can't afford out of your pocket. And if something big happens to you or your image or your dependents, then it kind of drains you out for the next 1 to 3 years. You would repent it and pay it for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Why you want to do that? You just consider it as a living expenditure.
I think our generation doesn't save up enough. So we don't have that emergency money staying in our bank accounts all the time. That is one reason that health insurance is very important. I earn because I want to live this life the way I'm living it. I want to be the queen of my own life and want people to look up to me.
And I think now my want for earning has moved much beyond the roti, kapda or makan. Earning gives me the power, earning gives me the respect, and earning gives me the inspiration to think and do different things. If I don't earn, I will not be able to think a holiday in a far-fetched island, because I have no means to it. So earning is that thread for my imagination to grow and think big. I think there is no end to the dreams and desires. It's always the back calculation of what you can do and what more you earn, so that you keep moving that. I think it's an illusion. It's a moving goalpost. The more money you have, the more aspirations you have, and you keep going after it.